Joining our coverage, political strategist Matt Dowd and Jason Johnson, politics and journalism professor at Morgan State University and host of A Word with Jason Johnson. They are both MSNBC contributors. Jason, didn't Trump stare at the eclipse? It's like staring at the sun to cover these stories. You want to rip up your papers and bang your head on the table, but we've got to look, right? We've got to look at the places where the lie-based platform of the ex-president has totally taken hold of a state party apparatus, and that state is Arizona.
This is the thing, Nicole. I am so amused that this woman describes herself as the Orange Mafia. Like, you're telling on yourself, right? You're admitting that you are part of a criminal empire that has its basis in its headquarters in the now investigated and searched home of the twice impeached former president of the United States. They're not operating as a party. It's a mob. It's a gang. It's an insurrection. Like, we know what they're doing at this particular point. But what concerns me, honestly, Nicole, and I don't care if it's Arizona or Wisconsin or what we see in Massachusetts or what we see in Pennsylvania, is that you have 30 to 40-something% of Americans in these states who are willing to vote for somebody who fundamentally doesn't believe in the system that could get them into office. I mean, like, how would you have a National Association of Airline Pilots who, like, don't believe in gravity, right? Or a bunch of people trying to be clergy and saying God is dead. That is essentially what you have happening in Arizona. So even if Kari Lake loses, even if a lot of these attorney general candidates lose, it still means you have a lot of people in those states who do not believe in elections and believe in an absolute fantasy that erodes our democracy at a basic level.
Matt Dowd, I have long chalked this up to a personal hang-up, but I'll share it. One of the things that always bothered me about I think it's 140 House Republicans who objected to the certification of President Joe Biden's win, is that their name was on the same ballot as Trump's. And so they weren't willing to say, don't swear me in. It wasn't fair and square. I didn't win because the ballots are corrupt. I mean, they won and they were reelected on the same pieces of paper that they were saying, didn't send Trump. It never made sense. But what Vaughn's reporting bears out is that logic is not part of the calculation.
No, I mean, if we try to bring reason to this, it's not going to ever work because their attachment to this is not rationally based. It's emotionally based, their attachment to this big lie. And I think deep down, you asked the question, a great question to Vaughn. Deep down, what's at the basis of this? What's at the basis of this is what they refuse to say out loud. And what they refuse to say out loud is they do not like the fact that United States has become a multicultural, multiracial democracy. That's fundamentally what's at the deep down basis of this, that they do not like the fact that they have to win elections. In order to win elections, they have to appeal to Latinos, they have to appeal to African Americans, they have to appeal to gay and lesbian Americans, they have to appeal to a whole new group of voters that their parents or whoever else in some bygone day they talk about. And so every time this group, I mean, you can't bring any reason to it. I mean, the Republicans picked up House seats in 2020 while Biden was winning. So so if reason had anything to do with this change in their mind, they would. But really, at the fundamental basis of this is the fact that America is changing. They know it's more difficult in a changing America for them to win elections. And so what do? They adopt a big lie that says basically there's fraud instead of basically saying out loud, what they fundamentally believe is they do not agree with a multicultural, multiracial democracy.
I've got to get Jason in on that, but I have to sneak in a break first. Look at that. We've even got theme music. We're back with Matt and Jason. Jason, let me show you something Hillary Clinton said on The View about taking these points Matt is making and some of the points President Biden is making and taking this to the country all in the next 9 weeks. Let me show you that first.
Look, fascism is a very big word. I know that. But so is socialism, and the Republicans call every Democrat who wants people to have health care a socialist. So I think we do need to be careful with our language, but I think the problem is if you go through the hallmarks of authoritarian regimes, you see too many characteristics, unfortunately, on our Republican side. And my most fervent hope is that Republicans themselves will begin to reject all of that verbally, vocally in their voting and, kind of reconstitute the Republican Party to where it used to be and not the, party of Trump, which I think is very dangerous to the country.
So, Jason, I'm bringing this to you because I know this is controversial and people have different views on this. But add Hillary Clinton to the list that includes Joe Biden and people who miss the old Republican Party with which they could fight over national security, over we lost Jason, we'll try to get him back, taxes and other things. But the point that she's making is a really important one, and everyone needs to hear this. What Republicans do with socialism isn't always visible on a national level, but I believe the way that Florida turned as red as it has is because Republicans call every Democrat and every sort of program to help the poor or to help with health care a socialist program. And in that state, for some reason, it resonates particularly well for Republican campaigns and candidates. But she's right. If Democrats can make the point in a fact-based manner, the Republicans, in terms of their numbers, are the largest authoritarian force the world over.
Yeah, Nicole, I mean, here's the problem. Words matter, right? Words have always mattered in campaigns. And whether you're talking about socialism or fascism or everything else like that, the words only mean something to the people who are already in agreement with you, right? So whether or not Republicans were calling Democrats socialists, the word they use now, they just say woke. And we all know woke is basically just Republican speak for N-word or N-word lovers, let's be honest. When DeSantis says we're going to stop the woke this, we're going to stop the woke that, we know exactly what they're saying. So, well, on some hand, I agree with Hillary Clinton that, hey, it looks like the Republicans have moved to this problematic place. I've said that for a long time. They're no longer a party. They're basically just a dime store front for a terrorist movement. I don't agree with her from this perspective that this is going to change. It's not going to change. That's what they are at this particular point. And I don't believe that fact-based arguments work anymore. We just finished talking about the big lie in Arizona. These people can't be convinced by facts. It is a cult at this particular point. And a cult can only be stopped by two ways. You either outlaw it, which we can't do because we have a semi-functional democracy, or you try and deprogram people. And frankly, if I've got 9 weeks to go before a presidential election or a midterm, I don't have time to deprogram people in a cult. What I do have time to do is try and make sure that everybody who wants to vote for me in a functional democracy can go and pull down their ballot. And that's what needs to be the focus. I think too many people are concerned about trying to pull people out of this MAGA thing, and they've already committed to something that they know ultimately is anti-democratic.
All right, Matt and Jason are sticking around.